A man who never went to university, yet lit up the world with electricity. A simple bookbinder's apprentice who chose truth in science over wealth and power became one of the most respected names in history. Who was Michael Faraday? How did a boy from a humble background leave behind a legacy that changed the world? Today we begin the incredible story of Faraday. And in fact number 5, we'll reveal the most fascinating and unique discovery, one that secured Faraday's irreplaceable place in the world of science. Ready? Then let's begin. Fact 1. His first experiments began as a child with no formal education. Michael Faraday became a great scientist without receiving any formal education. He grew up in a very modest family and didn't have the chance to attend the school. But his curiosity and passion for learning put him on a unique path. As a child, Faraday tried to understand the world around him. Without any academic background, he began to dive deep into the mysteries of science. His lack of education did not stop him. In fact, it pushed him to explore and learn on his own. In the early years of his life, Faraday started to discover the fundamental principles of electricity and magnetism purely through his own experiments, with no training in physics or chemistry. This turned him into a self-made genius who left an everlasting mark on global science. Fact 2. A simple experiment, but it changed the future of the world. Faraday's discovery of electromagnetic induction was more than just a clever experiment. It was a revolution. In 1831, in his own laboratory, Faraday discovered the relationship between electricity and magnetism. Through a simple setup, he showed that electric current could be generated by the influence of a magnetic field. At that time, this idea seemed like pure imagination, but Faraday proved it could be done and changed the future forever. His discovery laid the foundation for electric motors and generators. What seemed like a simple experiment introduced a whole new way of producing and using electrical energy. Faraday didn't just show that a magnet could generate electricity, he applied this principle and created the first electric motor. Though the experiment may have looked simple, understanding its nature and putting it into practice changed global technology. Faraday's invention made mass use of electricity possible. It laid the groundwork for all the electrical devices we use today, from household appliances to electric vehicles and the entire energy industry. His work shows how a single invention can reshape the world. Fact 3. Faraday and the Nobel Prize, yet he never received it. Michael Faraday made groundbreaking discoveries that deeply influenced the scientific world. His work in electromagnetism, electrical induction, and electric motors became the cornerstone of modern science and technology. Yet despite all this, Faraday never received a Nobel Prize, a fact that remains one of the most curious and puzzling issues in the history of science. The Nobel Prize was first established in 1901, but Faraday passed away in 1867, 34 years before the first prize was awarded. So he couldn't have received it simply because it didn't exist during his lifetime. Nevertheless, many scientists consider it a tragedy and injustice. Since Faraday's contributions were truly revolutionary, his research advanced not only physics, but also chemistry. His work in electrochemical reactions and electric chemistry left an enormous scientific legacy. Even without the Nobel, his influence remains unmatched. Fact 4. From a bookshop apprentice to one of the most famous scientists in the world. As a young man, Faraday worked as an assistant in a London bookshop. There he began to nurture his growing passion for science. Outside of his daily duties, he read scientific books and lectures, feeding his curiosity. Through the books he sold, he taught himself about physics, chemistry, and natural sciences. One day, Faraday heard that a famous scientist, Sir Humphrey Davy, would be giving a lecture. That moment would change his life forever. Faraday attended the lecture and took detailed notes. He later sent those notes to Davy. Impressed by Faraday's enthusiasm and natural talent, Davy hired him as an assistant in his laboratory. Faraday's time as a bookshop assistant shows how determination and curiosity can open unimaginable doors. His story is one of the most inspiring examples of perseverance. From a modest beginning, Faraday became one of the greatest scientists the world has ever known. Fact 5. The electric field is explained by a law named after Faraday. Michael Faraday's discoveries in the fields of electricity and magnetism were not only practical, but also theoretically extremely significant. One of the key principles that helps us understand the nature of electric fields and energy exchange is a law named after him. This law is known as Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, and it explains how electric currents are influenced by magnetic fields. Faraday's law demonstrates how electric energy is generated from magnetic fields. In 1831, Faraday discovered that a changing magnetic field could produce an electric current. Based on this law, the change in the magnetic field around a wire induces an electric current in that wire. Faraday first demonstrated this principle practically by moving a magnet or bringing a wire near a magnetic field to generate electricity. This discovery laid the foundation for understanding the working principle of generators and electric motors. Faraday's law related to electric fields established a fundamental basis for scientific and technological advancements. His discoveries in electromagnetism not only shaped the production and use of electric energy, but also formed the basic principles for the development of new technological devices. Faraday's law of induction became one of the key laws of modern electricity generation, and today it serves as a core principle in the operation of generators and the transmission of electrical energy. Fact 6. Faraday saw the universe as a network of energies for Michael Faraday. The universe was not just silent stars, rotating planets, and empty space. He sensed an invisible stream of energy flowing through this silence. Faraday believed that the electric current and magnetic force we experience on Earth were just fragments of a vast, unseen power that existed in every corner of the cosmos. To him, the current generated by a moving magnet was like the breath of stars, invisible yet real. Faraday once said, "Nature is a unity. Nothing is isolated." He imagined everything in the universe, from a speck of dust to colossal galaxies, as being connected by the same threads of energy. This vision made him not just a scientist, but a philosopher trying to understand the language of the cosmos. His ideas would later inspire what the scientific world now calls the unified field theory. And today, every time we turn on a light, we are in fact touching a piece of that ancient stellar energy. Fact 7. He kept his religious beliefs in harmony with science repeated. Michael Faraday was not only a great scientist, but also a person who integrated his religious beliefs into his work and life, striving to keep science and religion in harmony. Faraday's religious views and his love for science had a profound impact on his discoveries and approaches. Faraday believed that there was a connection between the natural world and the creations of God. He thought that by understanding nature, scientists were drawing closer to God. Faraday never opposed his religious beliefs to science. On the contrary, he admired the works of God and sought to understand the laws of nature. In his life, science and faith were never in conflict. Faraday viewed his love for science as a means to better understand God's works. He believed that each new discovery was a step closer to understanding God's plan. The harmony between science and religious belief further deepened his research and provided him with significant inspirations. Faraday thought that the natural laws and scientific principles were not separate from God's works. Science and faith existed as two complementary forces in his life. Faraday's devotion to his religious beliefs was one of the main factors that shaped his focus and ethical principles in many scientific discussions. Even when making significant scientific discoveries, such as electromagnetism and electrical induction, Faraday never neglected his moral and spiritual values. He even participated in religious lectures and expressed his views on religious matters carefully and thoughtfully. Fact 8. Even Einstein considered him a genius. Michael Faraday was not only recognized as a great scientist in his own time, but was also highly regarded by future generations of scientists, including Albert Einstein, one of the greatest physicists of all time. Einstein praised Faraday as a genius and paid special attention to the significance of his discoveries in the history of science. As one of the most renowned physicists of his time, Einstein greatly valued Faraday's work on electromagnetism and electrical fields. Einstein admired Faraday for the way he, starting as a simple man, made such remarkable contributions to science. He highly valued Faraday's deep and natural instincts for understanding various natural phenomena. Faraday's discovery of electromagnetic induction and his demonstration of the connection between magnetism and electricity provided a foundation for Einstein's development of his own theories. Faraday's work contributed to Einstein's groundbreaking discoveries, including special and general relativity. Faraday's theoretical and practical science remains a legacy in the scientific world, honored by scientists like Einstein. Fact 9. Despite being courted by the king, he honorably rejected it. Michael Faraday was not just a scientist, he was also a person deeply loyal to his internal values. His scientific achievements resonated not only in the world of science, but also in the English royal family. His scientific success was so impactful that Queen Victoria and the royal family offered him a noble title, Sir, a status that was universally accepted and regarded as a great honor. However, Faraday politely rejected this honor. He clearly stated that he was not interested in titles, fame, or material rewards. For him, science was an honor in itself, and he did not need praise. He considered himself a person of the people and chose to remain a simple citizen for the rest of his life. This decision made Faraday not only a genius scientist, but also a humble and principled individual in history. His action demonstrated that true scientific service lies not in titles or fame, but in making discoveries and benefiting humanity. Fact 10. Faraday's brain was evaluated. Even after his death, after Michael Faraday passed away, some scientists sought to examine his brain, believing that perhaps his extraordinary ideas and discoveries were due to a unique brain structure. They tried to measure and analyze Faraday's brain, but the results surprised them. His brain was entirely ordinary. This fact made many scientists reflect on the nature of genius. Faraday's genius was not in his physical structure, but in his mental intuition, his ability to sense invisible connections, and the tireless work of his spirit. He was not born a genius, he became one through hard work. Faraday proved to us that genius is not hidden in surnames, positions, or wealth. It lies in belief, effort, and benefiting humanity. If this video has inspired you, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. We have many more inspiring stories ahead. Michael Faraday, a simple man, but one of the brightest geniuses in the world.